Hey there, Vanagon addicts. This is Ken Wilford here at Vanagon. We're doing our Live at 5 broadcast. And it's good to be here with you guys again. This is July the 28th, 2017. Hope you guys are having a great week with your Vanagon. And hope you guys have some questions for me today. We're getting ready to start another live stream here. So it says so far we have 1 viewer. So I'm going to just pretend that there's 20 viewers out there, and we'll keep going. We'll get going here today. But it's good to have you guys here. I know a lot of you guys watch on Saturday or Sunday or even later on today when you get home from work. And so welcome out to you guys. I also have a special shout out to one of our guys from last week. He gave us a donation last week. After the broadcast, I told you guys I would definitely give you a shout out if you give us a donation. In the description of our live stream, there is a link to PayPal. And if you wanted to donate $10 or whatever you feel like donating, we will definitely mention your name in the video. So let me just look up his name one more time so I can basically not mess up and say the wrong person. But this is a guy that's donated to us lots of other times, plus he's been a supporter for a long time, so we definitely appreciate it. Daniel Peckham, okay, so Dan has donated to us probably like the 3rd time, and so Dan, thank you so much for supporting Vanagon and all that we try to do here on YouTube. We try to answer your questions every week. Dan always seems like he has some questions that he wants answered. So we're glad to help you guys out. And so if we do answer a question for you, you find it helpful, please support us by either purchasing some parts from us, or you can give us a donation through PayPal. You can also donate through the chat, super chat, but YouTube takes 30% of that. So PayPal only takes like 3%. So that's definitely better. All right, so if you guys are here, and you want to just let us know in the chat that you're here, we will definitely say hi to you, especially if you're visiting from another country or from far away like Hawaii or something like that. Definitely let us know. We can say hi. I got my helper Leah here again. She's been working with me all this week, getting a lot of experience in the Vanagon repair deal situations. Like, tell them what you did a couple of days ago. Actually, yesterday.
Oh, when we ripped that dash apart?
Yep. She got into the bowels of the Vanagon dashboard, and she helped me removing it and then put in a new fan and getting it put back together.
A couple times.
A couple times, yep. Because, you know, sometimes it's just stuff is just so much fun. You just want to do it over and over. So we got a dash in my own personal Westie that the fan had gotten frozen by just from sitting, and also, you know, some mice were dancing around in there too. Like, it makes a nice little mouse wheel. So, so we had to take care of that, and she definitely helped me out a lot. Got to see what was inside the Vanagon dash, which is a bunch of wires and different stuff and things.
Very confusing.
Yep. But she's learning. And then today we were swapping out some antifreeze in a van, and I bought a special tool for that that I was trying out, and it turned out pretty nice, actually.
Gives your arms a nice workout.
Yeah, it's like a big hand pump thing. You just pump it, and it sucks out whatever. So you can use it to change oil. You can use it to change antifreeze. One of you guys suggested it to me. And it turned out pretty nice, actually. So, do we have anybody on the chat that's saying hi or anything?
Yes.
Okay, what do we got?
You were talking about Daniel Peckham contributing. He says happy to contribute. And someone,
hi Dan,
with a name that is in a language that I don't understand.
Okay.
But they said that they have a VW T3 transporter without AC. Is it possible to build one in?
It is, unless it is a diesel that is not turbo. Okay, in a lot of the other countries around the world, most of the Vanagons are diesel. That's one of the things you have to remind people of or remember. Here in the U.S., very few diesels were ever sold. The funny part is, if you have an 82 diesel Vanagon, there's actually a sticker on top of the valve cover, or I think it's on the time belt cover. It says, "Do not put air conditioning on this engine," like a big orange sticker that says that. There's a reason for that. That motor is super duper underpowered for the van. It already has enough problems moving a van down the road. Trying to put an air conditioner on it is not going to work. If you have a turbo diesel, they actually did have a bracket for that. And so if you have a turbo diesel, I mean, I can try to look up that bracket and give you the part number for it. I don't know where you would get it. You might have to get it from a junkyard in Europe because, yeah, again, we never got turbo diesels here either. Only 82 to 84 we got diesels here. The 82 was a 1 year only, and then the 83 and 84s were actually all 5 speeds, but it was the exact same motor, non-turbo. In Europe, they got a turbo, 1.6 turbo. They even got what they call a 1.7 naturally aspirated, which was used a lot too. And I know a few years ago, how I found out about the 1.7s, a guy was selling a bunch of German postal delivery vehicles that were all Vanagons that had the 1.7 diesel, naturally aspirated diesels in them. So I hope that kind of answers the question. You would probably use a Sandon SD 508 or 709 as your compressor, no matter what you end up doing. Okay, so hopefully that helps with the AC situation. Anything else?
Hello to Andrew Smith coming at us from Australia.
Yay! Hey Andrew, how's everything down under?
I wasn't gonna do
my shrimp on the bobby accent or whatever. I don't want to super offend you that way.
See,
so.
I wasn't gonna do that.
Yeah, I know. I haven't watched Crocodile Dundee in a long time, so you know I can't really do that too great. But
I mean, you know, we don't have Steve.
Australia is one of my dream destinations. I would love to go there. One of the biggest holdups is the travel time is like nuts. So I've been to Mongolia though, so I shouldn't really be too scared about going to Australia. But I tell you what, when I went to Mongolia, wow, I got to a certain point in the plane where I felt like I wanted to rip a hole in the side of it and get out. That's not good because we were like, you know, high up in the sky. But Australia is awesome. They have some pretty nice Vanagons over there, from what I've heard. And I think it was one of the first places they started doing the Subaru conversions too back in the day. Do we have any other situations?
SD Rooter is back and he says hello.
Okay.
And I guess his name is Steve because he put Steve at the end. So,
all right,
hello,
Steve, how you doing?
We should now call you Steve.
Good to have you back with us today. Leah's been helping me out here this week, and one of the things we're working on is possibly getting some T-shirts, coffee mugs, and other swag available to sell.
Maybe hats.
Yes, also hats. Not like this one though, because you know you can only have one of these. But yeah, so we're working on that. And what's the website we're looking at for that?
Printful.
It's called Printful. And we can basically they just make the stuff to order, so it kind of saves us. Like I don't want to get a bunch of swag that we have to buy, like all these different sizes of T-shirts and this kind of thing. But if we can just get them like made to order and send them out, and we get like so much of it, that helps us. So that way, like you're getting something, you're getting like a cool T-shirt or a hat with like a slogan on it, and we're getting a little bit of money to help support the channel and that kind of thing. So that's something we're working on. We're also possibly going to, well, actually next Friday in our live stream. All right, right now the plan is to start a Patreon channel. So I'm going to go show you that real quick if I can here. This right here. Okay, so this is going to be our Patreon channel. And what Patreon is a way for people to help out us on a monthly basis. You can dedicate, say, like $1 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, whatever. There's different levels. And when you do that, you become like a monthly supporter of the channel. And it helps us to be able to make more videos, to be able to do more. And then different levels, you get different rewards for being different levels. And it's just a way for you guys to get more involved in doing what we're doing and helping us out. So we're next Friday in our thing, we're going to launch this Patreon channel, and I'm going to reveal to you the different rewards. I will tell you that the highest level, you're going to get a 10% discount off of Vanagon. So, you know, that'll be cool. Any parts that you want to buy. So it can kind of pay for itself. You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking. So anyway, that's going to be our Patreon channel. That's going to be next week. And we're also going to have some goals on there. We're probably going to add this Hawaii trip down here as one of the goals. I've been talking about this Hawaii trip for a while. I want to be able to go to Hawaii. I have a lady that's willing to help us get out there. She's willing to help us be able to have a place to stay. And of course, I'm going to be working on her vans. I'm going to be doing some documentation on the different Vanagon rental places out there. So my idea of this is to kind of review several of these Vanagon rental places in Hawaii for you guys, potentially, so that you can use that as a guide if you're going to go to Hawaii at some point in the future. You know, what would be a really good place to rent from, and that kind of thing. So, you know, that's kind of why I'm doing it. But what I really want is to see if you guys can, you know, basically get involved in that. Okay. And then if you can get involved with us in that, you know, that'll help us be able to do more things. So like right now, if we just did it right now, we would be going to this one particular place in Maui. We would be staying with at this lady's home and looking at her vans, reviewing her vans. I think there might be one other van rental place in Maui as well. We might review them as well. But that would probably be it. So if we have the Patreon support and we can meet our goals, what the goals would pay for is maybe like a small plane. We could go to another island, like say Kauai or even the mainland, not the mainland, but you know, the big island, and be able to review some other Vanagon rental places. You know, the more we get, the more we can do. We could also possibly buy a drone and do some flyover things. So just different ideas that way to try to get you guys excited about the Patreon idea. And of course, there's going to be lots of videos in the future. If you're helping us out on Patreon, that's going to let us do more videos about like possibly rebuilding an engine, and different. We can interview some people. I have a guy that's a transmission rebuilder that I would like to go to his shop and interview him for a video and talk about transmissions. He could show us, you know, how they work internally and some different things. But again, you know, it takes time and effort for me to drive to his place, to set up an appointment with him and go over these things. And I had to kind of pay him something for his time as well. So, you know, all that stuff would be things we could do with Patreon that we wouldn't be able to do normally. Okay, so just some ideas there. All right, now I want to take you to this other website today. Oh, do we have some other comments before I move on?
We have questions.
Okay, questions.
Okay, so Andre Mock.
Okay.
He says, I have a 1987 Westfalia vacuum performed recharged with red tech with proper gauges, but unable to engage the AC compressor clutch. Okay.
Sometimes there's a switch, okay, that's over behind like a hidden panel over here on the left side. Did he say his was a Westie?
Yeah, and he said it's a low freon pressure preventing the AC compressor clutch from engaging.
Yes, that could be what's happening, or that switch could be defective. So what you want to do is pull the cover off. On a Westie, it's inside the cabinet there on the left as you open the back hatch. Then there's some shelves in there. You have to pop the shelves out, and then there's like a little a cover that's held on with some screws, and you can remove that. You'll see all the wire, the electronics, and different things for. There's actually 3 relays under there for the air conditioning. There's a 50 amp fuse, and there's some 20 amp fuses. And there's also the pressure switches. Now, on the 87, they had 2 pressure switches. One's high, one's low. On the later ones, I think 88 and newer, they had a single switch that did both. Okay, they call it a trinary pressure switch. Actually only does 2 things. So I don't know what the tri part is, but whatever. And so what it's looking for is, a low pressure to engage it. Now, sometimes, depending on like a minimum low pressure. So sometimes what I'll do, if I have a problem, like when I charge 134A, it just seems like sometimes it won't get enough pressure to turn the switch on. So what you can do is jumper the compressor to make it come on. So you can take a wire from the compressor. I think there's a green wire on there. That's the power wire on the compressor. Go over to the back of the alternator where, the battery wire comes onto the alternator, and get power from that. Activate the compressor. You'll hear it come on. Look at your pressures. Once your pressures start coming up a little bit on the low side, like say it's at 10, 15 PSI, something like that, you should be able to just unhook that wire off of the back of the alternator, and now it'll stay on because it has enough pressure to, the minimum pressure to keep the thing going. Now, as soon as you turn your air on too, you want to make sure that your radiator fan's immediately coming on and your overhead fans are on. All that stuff needs to be activated fully for you to be able to charge the system properly. Okay, I hope that answers your question, and that's a way you can kind of get the system going by jumpering the compressor it helps suck in the refrigerant until it gets to enough pressure to keep the switch activated.
Daniel Peckham says, any suggestions on what to do with exhaust smell when I start up my van? Once warmed up, I didn't notice the exhaust smell much.
Okay. I mean, when you first start up a van, it's going to run rich because that's actually part of how it warms up. So if you're having like a rich smell when you very first start up, it could just be that. Okay. The other thing that could be possibly is maybe you have like a leaky injector, and it's when you shut off the car, it's like dripping down into the combustion chamber. Then when you start it, like a bunch of smoke comes out or smell comes out from the gas, the raw gas in there. So you could do some tests to see if you're having that problem, which would be pulling, if this is on a water boxer, you can pull this little 10mm screw between the 2 injectors and then pull the injectors out. And you want to disable your ignition by pulling the big lead off the top of the distributor and grounding it to the engine. I usually actually use one of the bolts that holds the air conditioner compressor in place because it has like there's a round head on it, and you can just shove that center coil wire onto that to ground it. So then you want to have somebody crank over the engine and look at how the injectors are spraying, and then just crank it for a few seconds. You'll see them go, psh, 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 they'll spray. Have something to catch it, like a little plastic container thing under there. And then once they stop spraying, they can't drip. Okay, that's what you're looking for. You're looking to see if they're dripping once they've stopped spraying. And so if they sit there and they're just fine, they don't do anything, that's good. If they sit there and as it's sitting there, it's going drip, 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 that's not good. Okay, and that injector is messing up. It needs to be cleaned or replaced. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking is possibly going on, Dan, if it's not just the normal smell of richness that you get with a cold start. Okay.
And Andre was just following up, so I need to jump the compressor to suck the Freon in, and said I'm at Alaric.
Oh, he's at Alaric shop? Okay. Shout out to Alaric. Bing. He's got a shop down in Maryland area, I believe, and he's a real nice guy. He was here a few years ago with his son, and he does a lot of work on synchro banigans. So, and he seems like he really knows his stuff, and he's got this worker that helps him, and another guy, I think Larry Johnson, helps him out a lot. All right, any other questions? Do we see some questions?
Your brother is in the
my bro
in the chat.
All right, hey bro, how does it go? You might be seeing. I needed to talk to you about maybe some human beings coming out there when I go to Hawaii. So, yeah, we can talk about that later. Okay. I've been meaning to call you about it. I was going to call you today, and I'm like, he's getting ready for his live stream. But, yep, shout out to my bro. All right, let me take you to another site real fast. Let me get ready for screen shareception here.
Oh, boy.
Okay. So I was talking to another guy today, and he has a website, virginialovebus.com. His name is Ken, like me, so you got to like that. And this guy travels all over the country. He has 3 Syncro Westies. He also has a regular 2-wheel drive Westie. And he's got a blog here where you can see his van. The website is virginialovebus.com, and you can check it out. And he's got a lot of cool posts on here about some of his journeys and adventures. And he just seems like a really nice guy. He's actually was telling me that they're trying to put together like a little thing where people can camp, like different locations where they can camp, and down where he lives, which I think is in Virginia. And he just seems like a nice guy. So check out his website. I would click on some of these other links, but as soon as you click on it, like all this music starts playing like crazy, and yeah, I'm not doing that. All right, so let me go back to this. Okay. All right, does anybody else have any questions? Or I can start showing you some stuff.
I just wanted to shout out Minx is back again.
All right, Dan Minx, good to see you again.
Back again.
Back again. So I did run into a little issue with the haul sending units this week for the earlier Vanagons. For a while, they have been threatening to make them more expensive. And I had a bunch of them that I got as a blowout for like what I had were some of these that were like Beck Arnley, which Beck Arnley, all they are is basically like a middleman. So they'll buy stuff, and they probably bought some of this stuff like 10 years ago. They'll buy a whole bunch of quantities, and then they'll put it in a Beck Arnley box, and they'll send it out. Eventually, one day when somebody buys it, okay, which can be good because they'll have something that was discontinued like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. They still got it on the shelf. They bought 1,000 of them. So I was buying them from them. I was selling these haul sending units for like the air-cooled Vanagons and for the 1.9 water-cooled for like $125, and people were buying them left and right and trying to rebuild their own distributors, and I was, was doing pretty good. But I had seen that very, very soon they were going to be running out, and that the price of the haul sending units was going to go up a lot. And guess what? That happened today. Somebody bought one last night, and it said overnight today, and I went to go buy it, and now instead of being $125, it is going to be $250 just for that little unit. And it's not Bosch. Now, a lot of the Beck Arnley ones were Bosch units that they had bought, like I said, 10 years ago probably, something. The new ones are actually only either Airtech Wells or Standard Motor Products. Theirs are both American companies that, aftermarket companies that make stuff like that, but the cost is just off the charts. I don't know why they're so expensive, but they are. So this is one of the problems we're running into. Bosch is dropping items. So, like, I have 2 more of the 1.9 distributors that are coming. If you're interested in buying one for your van, I put it in the website today that you could buy 2. There's 2 available. It would be a good idea because some of this stuff is really drying up, and I'm hoping that people are going to step up. I mean, they stepped up, but now it's like way more expensive. Okay, sometimes that's what happens. Now I have another product I'm going to show you that's kind of the opposite of this.
Okay. Before we get too deep into that, Daniel Goldberg says, what are the options for refinishing the fuzzy surface on the interior of the flat top on a 1984 Westie full camper? I have mold around the leaky skylight and want to handle that prior to fixing the skylight. And actually, I've been kind of working on that. There's this red camper van that's essentially the same that had mold all over, not just around the skylight, all over the inside of that. So my mom found this carpet cleaner stuff. It like sprays out as a foam, and it's got like a scrubby brush thing on the top of the can. And so I would just like spray that and smear it all over, like everywhere, and just like scrub it until my arm hurt. And I mean, it seems to be working. I have to check on it. I haven't like looked at it since we took it to get it aligned, but I have to remember. Hold on, my mom just sent me. Oh, there we go. Woolite carpet and upholstery cleaner. So I mean, that looked like it was doing pretty good, and I still have to finish it, but it's Woolite carpet cleaner, and it's good for upholstery too, and it looked like it was doing pretty good. The only thing about scrubbing that fuzzy stuff though is as you scrub it, if it's kind of like getting old and whatever, it starts to come off into your eyeballs. So I would suggest wearing some kind of eye protection if you don't want like specks of fuzz in your eyes. But I mean, it seemed to be working pretty good. I still have more to do, but I mean, if you don't want to have to like paste more fuzz on top of that, you can just try scrubbing at it with some carpet cleaner, or maybe there's some kind of actual cleaner that's specifically for that. But like, that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would recommend, is to try to clean it first before you think you're going to replace it, because replacing it, the only option I know of is to put like a headliner over it, and we've only did that one time. So here's the deal.
Oh, he says the fuzzy surface has peeled off, so he needs to replace it.
Okay. So the fuzzy surface, what it does, it prevents condensation, or it tries to help prevent condensation on the inside. So if it was like totally smooth on the inside, just fiberglass, like you would get condensation in there. Like, in other words, you could get water that would just get on the inside of the pop top, and then it would kind of like either rain in there or drip in there on you. And it could get your stuff wet, get your mattress wet, all that stuff, and then get mold growing that way. So the idea of the fuzz is to basically have a little bit of something that keeps that from happening. So the only way to replace it that I know of, I mean, you can't really replace it. What we had done was, we had a guy who does my canvas installs. He also does all kinds of awesome work on interiors for classic cars. He put a new headliner. He used headliner material like you would see in a car, and he tried to match it to the interior of the car. I think it was like a gray, tan color, and he just totally redid the entire inside of the pop top. I think it probably cost about $400 for him to do that, but it turned out really nice. Okay, and again, that would have a similar effect where it's like slightly insulated. It keeps the moisture from just developing on the surface from the temperature differences between the outside and the inside. That's what I would recommend. That's the only thing I know of that could replace the fuzziness, is to just do like a headliner type install, and it's just glued on. If you go to a good guy who does headliners, he could do that for you.
And I mean, if
the cleaning does work though, 99% of the time, like you can clean it even if it looks really moldy.
And I mean, if that didn't help you, maybe it helped somebody else. Like maybe someone else needs to clean that and they didn't know how.
Yep.
Free advice for all.
There you go. All right, and let's see, she's learning things. All right, continue. Anything else before I talk about this other thing?
Wow. Daniel Peckham said, wow, like father, like daughter, give her a raise. What about cleaning out all of it and doing spray in truck bed liner?
I mean, like, you can get white truck bed liner, and that might be something. I've never tried it, okay? But you can get white, like white rubberized undercoating, and that might be something you could try. Again, really all you want is just to not have the original surface. So the truck bed liner would make, a like a little small insulation factor, just like the fuzz. And if it was the white, it would look pretty good probably. So that's an idea. I've never thought of that. Or you can also get I would probably get the kind that you roll it on with a roller. That way you can limit, how much mess it's going to make. You spray it on, it's going to overspray on stuff. So, okay. Yep. One of these days maybe the next time I might try the white truck bed liner. Just see what happens. That sounds like a good idea, actually. Okay, continue.
Andre Mox says, how many pounds or ounces of Red Tech Freon should be replaced after a full vacuum? How much can the Westie handle?
So there should be a sticker above your rear hatch door that has the amount of R12. Now, when you replace R12 with Red Tech or 134A, I think you're going to use so much % less of that. So I don't remember the exact amount off the top of my head, but I think with the R12, it would be the equivalent of using like 4 of the little cans. Let's see. Let me grab one of the cans real quick. So, I mean, each one of these cans is 340 grams, okay? The sticker will have grams on there. If I remember correctly, it was somewhere around either 1,000 grams or 1,200 grams was the original charge for the R12. So with the 134A, I believe you add like 30% less to make it work the same as R12. And I think the same thing with Red Techs. It might be somewhere like 30% less. You would have to do, you know, like a little bit of research on that. I haven't really used Red Tech before. I've thought about using it. I did used to use a thing called Freeze 12, which I liked a lot back in the day as a replacement for R12. It's a similar idea to Red Tech because it's a blend. Okay. The only reason I kind of stopped using it, I think maybe they stopped selling it or it was harder to get. And because it's a blend, over time, if you have a leak and you have to recharge, it doesn't do as good of a job because the blend parts, like some of it's lighter than others, the lighter parts actually leak out first, and then you're left with this blend that isn't optimal over time. So, but yeah, look on Red Tech's site. They should tell you like what % of the original charge amount to use. Then you can look on that sticker on your van and see what the original charge was and charge it accordingly. Because hopefully that helps. Okay, anything else?
I think you can talk about what's in your little box there.
So I was trying to talk about distributors and whatnot. You guys getting on air conditioning kicks. I mean, it is hot.
It is very hot.
It's hot. It's sweaty. So I was thinking about how expensive the 1.9 distributors got. But this is a distributor for a 2.1 fan. Again, you can see there's some differences. This is for the DigiFont system, okay, which they used 86 to 91 here in the USA. And you can see some differences, which is there's no vacuum advance retard. Okay, on the DigiFont system, they went to a digital advance and retard and whatever is controlled digitally by the computer. You can see that they've made it kind of idiot-proof. You can't just plug it into your 1.9 Vanagon because instead of having an oval plug here, it has a rectangular plug. Okay, and this unit that we have here, for years and years, I was getting these as rebuilt units from Bosch. Okay, but what's been going on is Bosch is really dropping support for the older stuff. Like they're dropping support like a hot potato that they've decided smells bad or something, because all of a sudden they're dropping spark plug wire lines for the older cars, spark plugs, and a lot of other stuff. Now, just to be fair, some of their quality level of their items has been going down. Like they were outsourcing who was making things, and it wasn't really helping the situation. So it's kind of a mixed blessing that they are getting out, because some of it is letting other people get in. So this distributor I have here, when I was selling the Bosch units, they were over $250, I think, for a rebuilt unit plus a core charge. You had to mess with the core, send it back, all that stupid stuff. I hate cores so bad. And this is a brand new unit. This is made by JP Group, okay, which is, like I said, this company that's actually based out of Denmark in Europe. And it's totally brand new. It comes with a rotor cap. And the retail on this is $129. Okay, I have them on the site right now, and that's a great price for a distributor for a 2.1 Vanagon. $129, all brand new. And you know, as we talked about a couple weeks ago, distributors are one of the things that, if it hasn't been rebuilt in a while, it can be a source of just leaving you on the side of the road. And so I would definitely think about replacing that. 129, you got a new hall sending unit, you've got a whole new distributor, you can just pop it in there, time it up. You can actually mark the old one, time it up just like the old one, and it should work perfectly fine without even retiming anything. And that way you'd have a brand new distributor, kind of be more reliable for longer trips and things. So, you know, just thought I would mention that. It's on the website now. I updated that today earlier. I also did put on the website the backup camera that we did some videos on last week. So that is on the website. No one has purchased it yet. I don't know if people are just thinking about it still. And I guess it's not for everybody. The problem I have, though, with the Westie is trying to look out that back window. You're trying to back up. And number one, the mirror itself is not in an optimal position to look out that back window. Like, it's kind of, you have to point it like on a downward angle to get down low enough to go under that back cabinet and look out. Then you're getting a smaller window because of that back angle and because of how it's set up. You can't really see that far behind you. So to me, the backup camera / dash cam thing helps with that. You can see back way farther and see what's going on back there versus this little small window. I mean, sometimes you can't see if there's a police officer back there in your back thing unless he's right on your bumper, when it's pretty much too late at that point. So that backup cam, one of you guys actually suggested testing it at night. I think that's a great idea. So I'm going to do that, and maybe I can record and show you that video. Put it on the playlist for the backup camera so you can see what the night video looks like. Okay.
Daniel Peckham asked, how do you know if a distributor is bad or going bad?
That's a great question. The Bentley manual has some tests you can do. They are pretty much bullcrap as far as I'm concerned. I've tried them. They give you inconsistent results. I think really to do it right, you would have to have what they call a Sun machine, which is a machine that they used, like every shop used to have back in the day. And basically it's like a sine wave machine where you can actually look at the sine wave that's coming out of the Hall sensor and see if it's got like the proper shape and all this stuff. I mean, this is stuff that like mechanics back in the 50s and the 60s, this is how they diagnosed ignition systems. Most of those guys are gone now. Okay, occasionally I run into an old school guy and he's still got a sine wave machine and he's got a Sun machine. He's testing coils and he's telling me, I'm looking at this signal on this coil and the shape of the sine wave is not exactly the way things and stuff. And I'm like, I have no clue what you're talking about. So I'll tell you how I test distributors if I have questions about them, which is I basically swap them into a good running van and see if they work. And I've had people that, you know, they want to do that test and I don't have a van, and they'll mail it to me and I'll put it in a van and test it and see if it works. So I hate to be that way about it, but that's the only method I found. Like, I've even gotten rebuilt distributors from people who most likely have some kind of a sine wave bench testing machine thing to test things with. And they send me a distributor and I put it in and it doesn't work. Okay, so the acid test is just put it in a van, test it, see if it works. If it's working, then it's working. Okay, when it starts to fail, usually you'll have it start cutting out on you. They'll be stalling. It'll not want to start maybe until it cools off, and that, or your tack. If you have a tack, it'll just prum, 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 like somebody's turning a switch on and off. But yeah, there's no really awesome way. I bought a sine wave little thingamadoodler for like a laptop that I could play around with and see if I can maybe get a definitive test that way too. But again, you would have to have that special piece of equipment to do it. So again, you're going to be shipping it to me, mailing it to me. I have to do it. It's not really that convenient. But if you need help that way, I mean, we're here to help you guys out. I did it this week for a guy and sent him all his stuff back and found bad distributor and bad ignition module. So there you go. Yep. So we do help people that way, and then they'll buy stuff from me. So that's how they pay me back. Like you buy a distributor, they'll buy ignition module, a computer. You know, I've had people that had a question about a computer, like how do you test a computer? An ECU. The Bentley manual says test everything else. If it's fine, it has to be the computer. That's the only way to test it. So, you know, people say, I don't know if my computer's bad or not. I said, send it here. I'll put it in a van, see if it works. If it does, I'll send it back to you. You pay for the shipping. If it doesn't work, I will sell you a rebuilt ECU, and you can be back on the road. And just to be FYI, most of the time, it's bad. When they send it to me, it's a bad computer. All right, got anything else here?
The person earlier whose name I can't pronounce said, is it easy to put an AC into my transporter? They're BWT3.
Is it easy? No. If it was easy, everybody would do it. It's a lot of work. Okay, if it doesn't have, you can watch some of my videos on retrofitting that dash, you know, air conditioning system into a Vanagon. I mean, it took me, the first time I did it, probably took 40 hours of work. You have to know, you have to be able to make your own air conditioning hoses, unless you have a shop near you that can do that. You have to think about wiring everything in. I mean, it is a lot of work. And if you're going to do it yourself, it's very time consuming. You have to know how to do electricity. You have to know how to do air conditioning. You have to know how to do some fabrication of metal and different other things, like cutting holes in your dash that's not going to look like crap. So there's a lot to it. It's not for the like level 1 player. You got to be like level 500 for that.
Steve says they have an air cooled, like the person that was talking said they have an air cooled. And then the person said, I must remove the dash and then workshop? Question mark?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, watch the videos that we did. And that'll kind of give you an idea of what you're in for, but it's a lot of work. I mean, you remove the dash, but you can't drive the car if you take the dash out. So, yeah, like you would basically, if you can't do it yourself, you have to take it to a shop and maybe have them look at the videos and say, hey, we can definitely do this, or no, we don't want to even fool with this ever. They might not want to mess with it because it is very involved. What about the air-cooled van?
He was talking about the person that was talking. It was like, sounds like they have an air-cooled.
Oh, they have an air-cooled? I mean, he says he has a diesel, I think. But I did one on an air-cooled, and it worked, but it was weird. Like, where you mount the compressor on an air-cooled is crazy town. It had to mount facing backwards. Yeah. Like, the compressor faces backwards. That's the way they rigged them up originally on the air-cooled, because the air-cooleds never had a real air conditioning system. They did actually make a VW factory air conditioning system for air-cooled Vanagons. But the mounting system, it mounts to that shroud that goes around the outside of the fan on the air-cooled. It mounts to that. And the compressor faces so that the butt of the compressor is facing towards you as you're looking from behind. And there's even like a little relay roller that also goes between, like you actually put another pulley behind the big pulley on an air-cooled. Then there's this weird relay roller that has like 2 rollers on it. So the fan belt comes over from behind the big fan. The big fan still will probably run your alternator, but then there's another belt that goes from there over to a relay roller. Then one belt goes to that. Then the other belt goes up to the compressor, which is actually facing, you know, the opposite direction. So the butt of it is facing towards you. The AC lines that come out the butt have like 90-degree angle things on them so they can hook on there. It's pretty crazy. And it worked, but wow. Like, actually, I wouldn't have even taken that job if I knew it was an air-cooled, because I knew it would be like super crazy town. And the guy, it was an 83, and he sent me some pictures of the car, and they were all from like the side and the back. And so it looked like an 83. I thought it was a water boxer because he said it had factory air on it. And yeah, once I got it here and it pulled in and I saw like no lower grill, I was like, uh-oh. That was a little scary, but it worked. It worked out. It's still working. It's been a couple years.
Mm-hmm. Trying to keep a troll out of the comments.
A troll.
Whoever you are, get off of this live stream, and I am not joking.
Uh-oh. You don't want this after you.
You do not. I will find a way to
Troll buster.
Get the heck off this live stream, please.
That's right. Who you gonna call? Troll buster. Me no likey trolls. And I've seen some like trolly comments a little bit for the videos, not much.
And I don't mean like playfully troll. I mean like bad troll.
Okay.
Like the things they're saying
Under
and their
the
profile
bridge.
picture is like
under the
bad.
bridge.
Like
We
censor
know,
this.
We know right then. So peace out, troll. Go pester somebody else. But I've had some like slightly trolly comments too, and I basically delete them immediately. So
I'm trying to. It's like it's just it gives me two options, like go to channel or report, and I just hit report and make them go away.
Okay. All right. Well, let's ignore those people because
Yes.
they have issues.
Clearly.
We don't need to worry about them.
Clearly.
All right. Anything else we're going to talk about? We're actually winding down. We only have like 8 minutes left. So I got somebody, Jay, here. He's my buddy. He says he's not logged in, but he is watching. So shout out to Jay. And it's good to talk to him. He actually works at another shop that shall remain nameless. Actually, it's not another shop. It's another parts supplier that shall remain nameless. But he's a nice guy, and they call me occasionally when they need stuff. So that's cool. We help each other out. But I'm not going to help them out by giving free advertising time on my thing. So they have to do their own live stream. And there's another shout out. I'd like to go to a shop in North Jersey called Die Workstat. Okay. These guys are on our map on Vanagon.com, and they are up in northern New Jersey, and they do a lot of stuff with Jettas and Golfs. They're also really into the VW community here in New Jersey. And so just a shout out to Steve. He's the owner. And then his wife came here the other day and picked up some parts. So Die Workstat, if you're into like the hot hatch deal, the souped up Jetta VR6 turbo things, then they're the people you want to talk to. Okay? So I give them a free shout out to Die Workstat.
Pat and Bill Witz, do you sell an adjustable voltage regulator for my Westie?
An adjustable voltage regulator. So for the alternator? I guess that's what you're talking about. I have never, like, why do you need that? I don't know why you would need one of those, but I'm sure they're out there. I mean, the alternator is just a Bosch unit. It's pretty common looking set of like voltage regulator that has. So I'm assuming you could probably get one. I don't know why you would need it. So you'll have to let me know on that. I always ask those questions when people buy stuff. I've never sold one before. So just FYI.
The same person from earlier. Should I put the evaporator in front or behind the heater core?
The evaporator. Okay, so wow. I mean, the ones that we were buying from Vintage Air actually is like a unit you can buy. It comes with its own heater core and everything in it. So it's like a self-contained unit. I mean, that's what I would recommend. Something that was kind of like made to work together. I've seen some people do some mods and things, but usually they'll wind up getting like a heater box. There's a guy on the Samba that did a lot of work, extensive documentation on like modifying the heater box and putting an evaporator in it. I'm not sure which side you would put it on to make it work properly, but you know, I would recommend getting a Vintage Air unit that's all one piece, that has its own heater core built in, because trying to design that or whatever, there's not really any extra room inside the stock heater box to put an evaporator in there. I'm pretty sure it's pretty much full with the heater core that's in there. It's got a huge heater core in there. So yeah, I would just get a pre-made unit from from Vintage Air. That would be my advice.
They say thanks.
Okay. I don't want to keep rambling about that. All right, we got 5 more minutes. If anybody wants to do anything, we can talk about anything you want to talk about. We're at the end of the show here. Again, if we've helped you guys out today, please give us, a donation, or you can go to our website, www.vanagain.com, purchase some items to say thanks. Like I said, our Patreon thing is coming. I don't know what that noise
I think it's a cricket.
It's a cricket. Our Patreon, it's so boring. A cricket. Patreon thing's coming up next week. So if you guys want to come out to the live stream next week, and we'll launch that together, and hopefully some of you guys will sign up for that, and we can do some awesome videos about Hawaii trips. We're going to be hopefully going to Belize again this year, maybe, and we can do some more videos on that. Checking out Vanagons down there again. Like last year, we've been going down there for like 6 years now, I think. So that's pretty cool. Anything you want to add this week, Mind Helper?
Just a friendly reminder, this is a family-friendly channel, and any trolls that come on here, you will be dealt with.
This is a family-friendly channel. My daughter is looking at this, and if you put naughty pictures on there, I'm not going to threaten you openly, but just look over your shoulder, because, you might get ran over by a Vanagon. I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but that might happen.
I mean, the chances.
Why take that chance? Instead, go watch some other channel where they have pornography on there. There's like a zillion of them. Unfortunately. I never look at them, but I've heard they're out there. Okay.
It's terrible.
All right. Anything else before we peace out?
Someone, TTT boy. Triple T boy. I'm going to say that.
Yep.
I have a 16-inch rim and a 14-inch spare. Is that a problem? 4 16-inch rims.
It shouldn't be a problem. The only way it would be a problem is if you have a synchro. If you have a synchro, I don't know if you guys know about this. Non-synchro people don't know about it. Don't block your face. If you have a synchro, your wheel tire diameter thing matters a lot. Okay? Like, basically, people that have synchros will buy 2 spares. Then they will swap them both in, and they will rotate them in with the regular tires, because having tires that are slightly different size can actually cause wear and tear on the synchro drivetrain. Okay? But if you have a regular van, a 2-wheel drive van, which I'm assuming you do, having a 14-inch spare would be equivalent to like regular cars that have that donut spare, the small spare that looks all weird on like a Honda Accord or something. And then people around where I live just put that on and then drive for years on it. Even though it says like temporary use only and don't drive above 50 and stuff. So it's the same idea as a donut. As long as you're not really using it that long, like I would say you want to limit your speed on it. You want to say, I'm just using it to get to a tire shop so I can get my 16-inch thing repaired or replaced. It really won't cause any problems. Okay, your differential can handle it in the back, and in the front there's no differential, so whatever. I mean, it might steer a little weird, but again, it's just for temporary. It's a spare tire, temporary use. Think of that. Just chant that in your mind, temporary, temporary, until you get to the tire shop. Then you can stop chanting that. You have my permission. All right, anything else? We have 1 minute.
I mean, the person from before says they have a question, but wait, there it is.
Bing.
Can I use the original hoses to connect the evaporator kit from Vintage Air?
No. Sorry. Where the thing's located and everything is going to be different. Why would you want to use the original hoses? Like, they're probably 30 years old, and they weren't even made for 134A anyway, or even Red Tech. So like the original hoses, they're not barrier hoses. They're not going to be the right length. They're not going to have the right fittings. You just want to start out with a fresh slate. Okay, so grab yourself some a hose making tool on Amazon. I think it's $150 for one. Grab yourself some brand new hose, brand new fittings, and everything is new. Then you pretty much know it's going to hold up and last. Those old hoses, like I said, they could be full of garbage. They could be deteriorating. They could be ready to pop at any second. You know, there's no real good reason to reuse them. And they're not even going to fit or be the right length. Anyway. All right. It's that time again when that, just like that Indian looking at the American trash dump, one single tear comes down and sits right there on my face. Because it's time to stop. It's time to end the live stream. She has no clue what that means. But you do. Oh, yes. And so next week, she will look up that video on YouTube, that commercial on YouTube, so she can know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. But next week, make sure you guys give us some ideas about what things you want to talk about. Next, we're going to have our Patreon launch, and hopefully it will be like Elon Musk, like this, and just take off and go to Mars.
Oh, boy.
But until then, guys, hope you guys get more smiles per gallon with your Vanagon, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. All right. Thanks for joining us this week on the Vanagon live stream. See you guys next week. Bye.